without any more waiting, let's introduce him. We have Matthew Lewis, who played Neville Longbottom. Come on out. All right, and then we have Warwick Davis, who played Professor Flitwick and also Grip Hook. We also have Jason Issacs joining us tonight. He played Lucius Malfoy. And then finally, Tom Felton, who portrayed Draco Malfoy. Thank you guys. Thanks for being here. So let's go ahead and kick it off with our first question.
Right, so my question was, did any of you ever imagine that people would still be talking about the first film nearly 16 years later?
No.
That was a very short answer.
No, it is amazing, isn't it, that there's such interest in anything related to Harry Potter still, you know, and I said, for us as actors, it is amazing that you shoot a piece of film that may have taken you a few weeks, a few months to do, and then you move on to the next job, but this is the kind of work that just lingers and stays with you, and it's a fantastic thing to have on your CV. But it's great, everywhere we go in the world, people know about Harry Potter, and it's fantastic the way that the whole Whistling world has been developed, you know, through the theme parks and now into Fantastic Beasts now, the studio tour in London. I mean, there's so many ways you can now experience Harry Potter, and yeah, certainly for me, it's a delight to have been involved in it in the small way that I was.
It's true. At the heart of it is Joe's storytelling, and when they came out, they were a big sensation. There were a lot of things that came out that were a big sensation. I'm not sure that people will be watching, with respect to them, Twilight in 20 years' time or 30 years' time or so. They were huge, the films and the books. And there's something she tapped into. We spend a lot of time, you get asked questions by the press, why do you think that's successful? You point to themes of friendship and loyalty and magic and all that stuff, but the fact is there's some other layer that none of us understand, because it touches people and makes people feel less alone, and it's helped lots of people through difficulty, and it's inspired people to read, you know, generations of people, adults and children who've never read a book before, now devour books all the time because of Joe. And there's something almost magical between the words and between the chapter headings that touches people in a very profound way, and that's why people are still reading it, and that's why those great works of literature from 100 years ago are still being read. And if we knew exactly what it was, we'd just do it ourselves. I auditioned for Gilderoy Lockhart, and I was a little bit disappointed in the room when Chris Columbus said, would you mind reading Malfoy? Did you read the whole script? And I said, yes. Would you mind reading Lucius Malfoy? And I went, oh, sure. And I went outside and I called my agent immediately, and I said, listen, I want you to go back in and read a different part. I don't want to do it. And he said, well, just go in and read it, you don't have to take the job. I said, I don't want to play another bad guy. I'm about to go off and do Captain Hook. I'm really not interested in doing. He said, just go in, you know, you never know what happened down the road. So I went in and I read Lucius Malfoy, and they phoned up and offered me a week later, and I said to my agent, tell them no, thanks very much, I appreciate it. And he said, well, take the weekend to think about it. And I said, I don't, it's just too similar, Captain Hook and another guy. And he gave me the weekend, and my nephews called, and then my godchildren called. And then every child I knew and their parents called me and told me that I had to do it. Not because they cared about my career, but because they wanted to visit the set, I think. And so I took the job, and thank God I did.
Well, I was very happy with the 4 parts that I did play.
Mic drop.
So I have a question for young adults who I write for. What advice would you give your teen self looking back?
I'd just give him a hug, man. There's nothing you could have told that kid. Really. Enjoy it. Take more photographs. Take more photos. Steal more props. They're worth a fortune now, isn't they? Yeah, not a lot really, to be honest with you. I think we savoured it as much as we could. And beautifully, blissfully unaware of what we were doing, really. Even halfway through doing the films, I still didn't particularly think many people were watching them. It really sort of shocked me to find out that people were watching them all around the world. So, yeah, just a conglomerate of answers for you.
I'd probably say that to be more aware that nobody really knows what the hell they're doing. It's a thing that you don't appreciate as much when you're younger. You assume everyone who's more experienced or is older than you is so assured in what they're doing and so confident. But ultimately, we're all just on this planet trying to figure out what the hell we're doing, all of us, in every job. And I think that if more young people appreciate that we're all just trying to make the best of it, all of us, we're all pretending to try and make the best of it, it would put a lot of people at ease. There's a lot of pressure heaped on young people these days. And I think it's a lot of it's largely unnecessary, because we're all just trying to make our way, you know?
It's very good, that. I like that. I can't remember being a teenager. I don't know. I mean, it's about, I think, appreciating the moment, really. I think when you're a kid of that age, you always want to be older because you think it's better being an adult, you know, because adults get to do more stuff. But I would say enjoy the time you're having now and enjoy every moment, every experience you're having now. Because being an adult is not as fun as it's made out to be. You end up with responsibilities and bills and all of those things. So, yeah, enjoy the moment.
I think that's fair. I wanted to be older. The point is that anything you say to young adults is lost on them anyway, because they don't listen, because you can't really hear it, you have to experience it. But if I could talk to my teen self, for me, I would say you're enough. Stop worrying that you're not like other people. You know, I always felt like I missed, I'm sure it's why I ended up an actor, so I'm still curious about, you know, I feel like I missed the class or the memo where other people were told how to be, or they felt like they belonged in their skin. I quite felt like I belonged in my skin, and you do. A lot of people feel like that, and those people who do feel completely comfortable with their own skin, you're all right not being friendly with them. You're all right being uncomfortable and seeking all the time, and that's one of the reasons I think that Joe's books and the films and the stories have meant so much to so many people, because they thematically they tell you that. They tell you that there's room for everybody and that you have a place in the world. I don't know, I felt like no one else was faking and I was always faking until I found a way to get paid for it.
I just don't get it. Like, that's the only real thing. I mean, you're not wrong. It's kind of quite often on my Twitter and stuff, it's brought up. And hey, look, the internet can be a pretty grim, awful place. When people are writing nice things about you, don't complain. And I'm not going to sit here and suck, oh God, it's such a nightmare. People say I'm good looking, I'm awful. Because it's not. It's incredibly flattering. It's lovely. But I honestly, I don't really get it. I've never felt that way. I still feel that way. I definitely I'd much rather focus on work and the professional side of stuff and just get by with that. But again, I honestly can't begrudge it at all. I'm not going to sit here and tell you my life is hell because of that. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I don't get it. Don't understand it.
I do. I'll show you a picture of what you look like when you were 12. It's hard to imagine, but when I was actually at school filming, Harry Potter wasn't cool. It certainly wasn't cool to be reading it in your lunch break. It was even less cool to have your hair dyed blonde and to be in the films. It wasn't really something that. I remember in America they never could get the idea that I was bullied for being in the films. And it's just like, oh, they were just jealous because it was so cool. It's like, no, it was not that way at all. So it took me a few years to actually realise how cool it is to be in the films. I was almost wanted to be back at school. I always wanted to be back at friends because I thought I wanted to go on the ski trips with all the cool kids, but I wasn't really allowed to do that because I was in these films.
Can I ask you two questions? Did you ever consider not doing the next films? Because you didn't sign up for 8 films. Did you ever seriously think about not coming back?
Yeah, I did, yeah. But it was again a similar sort of time for Tom. I mean, I didn't really get much stick at school. I was kind of alright with it, but it's that age of like 15, 16 where you just rebelling against most things. And I'd been acting since I was 5 at that point. And you were young when you started as well, weren't you? I just decided that I wanted to do something else because everyone was expecting me that this is what I'm going to do. I mean, I don't know how seriously I really took it, but at that moment in time, in my adolescent head, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. But I mean, I look back now, it's the most preposterous notion.
I remember saying I wasn't going to do it because I'm missing a ski trip. I'm missing 2 years of ski trips. I said, that's it. I want to go on a ski trip next year. And luckily my mum talked some sense into me. But I've been skiing since, don't worry. I have not had a deprived childhood. But yeah, again, it's just being a kid. Just, you can go to the latest thing here or there. But that revelation for me, when I realised, and I'm still realising it, even today, I've had the most beautiful little girl come up to me whose life has been saved by these books, and to say that I'm a part of it is absurd, and it keeps getting more absurd. I came here as a kid 3 times in a row. At 9, 10 and 11 I managed to snag my way onto other friends' families' trips to here.
Just stowed away in a...
Well, I basically just like befriended people that I knew were going to Universal, and loved it and lived for it. It was the highlight of my childhood, almost in a way. So to be here 15 years later as part of it is pretty mind-blowing.
Well, dare I say it within these walls, but I'm actually at heart a true Star Wars fan. Oh, nobody booed the tennis.
Because I don't play one, but you are in Star Wars.
Well, no, but it's not because of that. It's because at 7 years old I went to see Star Wars, and it had a huge impact on me as a 7-year-old child, having only seen Bambi in the cinema before that. So it was amazing, and just when I see the movies now, I just see them still as a fan, and I'm in awe of everything I see on the screen, and I just love the escapism of it. You know?
Would you say that experience sort of helped you, become all the wonderful and weird characters that you've been over?
I guess. I mean, it certainly has an influence on you. As a youngster, it did. I was straight away intrigued by all of this, and then you get to be part of that when you're 11 years old. Then will start to shape you as a human being in a way that you wouldn't have otherwise been changed, I suppose. And, so yeah, that's still one of my guilty pleasures is putting on a Star Wars movie when I can, and just enjoying it as somebody who likes watching movies.
Just watching your scenes.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Montage.
You was the last person picked, when they're choosing teams and stuff.
Well, I'm not a huge soccer fan, and that's the main sport in England. And rugby league's quite a minority sport, and nobody cares about it except me. So we always forced to play soccer, and I was just naff at it. So I just pretend that I loved it for years.
It was unfortunate. My school, our football kit was black and white, and I was always mistaken for the ball during the matches.
Your fictional family fell in line behind Voldemort. Without delving into your personal politics, how do you think your characters would have reacted to our new American president?
Without delving into it. I think Lucius would have been all for it. I think he'd put a little white pillowcase on his head and charged right up the hill behind him.
Is there a quirk or a personal trait that you brought along? And my follow-up question is, do you fear, or what's your concern of, if any, that you will go on to history just on this character and not your whole career? Sorry if I got too deep.
Well, I mean, certainly personally as an actor, I think you have to find a little seed within yourself that you develop into the characters that you play. So for me, even in Grip Hook, there's a little bit of me. There's the mischievous kind of part of me, I suppose, kind of you channel out into the character. But for other characters, you often find people within your life that influenced you. There were teachers at my school that kind of Professor Flitwick has some of their traits, especially that kind of idea that he's the sort of teacher that you could approach as a student if you hadn't done your homework, and he'd probably say, yeah, it's okay, don't worry about it, bring it tomorrow. So there are little things that you grasp from the real world, from your past and from within you, that you certainly put into the characters. If all I was remembered for as an actor is my work in Harry Potter, that's not such a bad thing at all. I would be more than happy. I'd be more than happy to be remembered, full stop. So yeah, terrific. However it is, I would gladly take it.
Sure. I'm sure there is naturally nothing I did consciously. It wasn't like I. Actually, no. Let me say that. My gramps did teach me a couple of things. He taught me how to sneer, which was like smelling something but with one nostril. Sort of like, and it looks like you're disgusted by it. If you look at someone with that. So I'm pretty sure I used that pretty early on somewhere. That and spitting your words, really pushing out the word Potter that was something that I remember thinking like, well, that sounds good. Well, that sounds me. Keep doing that. And annoyingly, people still ask me to the bloody day to say it. I'm kidding.
Well, I was the opposite of everybody here. I was terrified because of just being bland and forgettable around all these incredible actors, kind of, the royal family of British actors, really. So, and I did everything schematic I could do to try and do something. I asked for the wig, that wasn't part of the original, and the costume, the robes. They wanted me in a suit with ordinary hair. I tried to come up with a voice, because Alan Rickman was already in the first one. Alan Rickman, the greatest screen villain, certainly of our age. And I knew he was in it, and I knew how magnificent he was, so I had to come up with a voice I thought that was, that sounded like fingernails on a blackboard. I wanted a voice that irritated you within one syllable, and I worked harder. It's a combination of a teacher from drama school who would constantly whisper in this very high voice, "You amount to nothing, Issacs, you'll never work. Nobody likes you, none of your peers like you." And then this British art critic, Brian Saul. So I did the most tortuous voice I could think of, and the first director, Chris Columbus, used to come up to me and go, "Yeah, okay, so we had that take? Can we do one more?" And it's great, but could we pull back on the voice like 80-90%? And I asked for the cane. I mean, I wanted props, wig, funny voice, anything I could do to try and make any impact in the few minutes on screen, because I was surrounded by the greatest actors I've ever seen. So I brought, I hope, nothing of myself to it. I don't know. You don't even tell me if you know the answer to that one. I think there's nothing of me in Lucius. Ask my wife.
Being 15 years old in the middle of puberty, having to wear a fat suit, just anything like that. There's girls around, I'm like, oh man, I put this fat suit on every day. No one knows I'm wearing this damn thing. They always think I'm fat. Just stupid stuff like that. That when I look back now as an actor, I go, why did you even ever complain about that? Like, you're the luckiest man alive. So, yeah, nothing that difficult.
When I get blasted back by Dobby, a stuntman did that big long pull, and I just had to do the last. They made some rubber cobblestones for me and just to close up my head. All I had to do was that last bit. I don't want to just be like a team player, so I knocked myself out. And my kids came to visit the set when Dobby cuts the chandelier and rescues them in Malfoy Manor. And so without having told anyone, I just dived into the fireplace because I thought it would look good. But generally they prepare those things for weeks with like rubber coal and rubber, and it was just all steel and metal, and it really hurt. But I didn't want to take it from my kids. I don't think my back hurt.
All right, that concludes our Q&A. So thank you so much to our wonderful panelists.